As a rule, I use this YouTube channel only to promote yachts that are for sale and yachts that are for charter. But recent developments have led to many questions about what's happening in the yachting industry. Naturally enough, a lot of clients are contacting their brokers to ask what impact the invasion in the Ukraine is having on the yachting industry. And brokers, of course, are prepared to pass on to their clients what they do know. And I'm quite prepared to pass on to the viewers of this YouTube channel what I know about what's happening. About 10% of the world's super yachts are in fact owned by Russian owners. So it is having an impact. Firstly on the crew, which I'll talk about in a moment. Then on new construction yachts, also on brokerage yachts and on charter yachts. So we'll deal with all four of those scenarios, starting with the crew. Naturally, crew members of Russian yachts are very concerned right now. As I'm sure you know, Russian banks have been cut off from SWIFT, which is the interbank communication system allowing for international money transfers to be made. This leads questions about how they're going to pay for the maintenance of the yacht, how they will be paid their wages. But of course, a lot of Russians, particularly super wealthy Russians, will have their money elsewhere and not just in Russia. They'll be banking in Switzerland, in Monaco, in Cyprus, in London. However, EU sanctions are being placed on an increasing number of specific Russian individuals who own super yachts, which are considered an asset, and they're having their assets frozen. Now, Switzerland, for example, which historically has always been a very neutral country, the Prime Minister there has stated that he will enforce EU sanctions. Prince Albert of Monaco too has confirmed that Monaco will be enforcing those EU sanctions. Many of these yacht owners are actually having their yachts seized, and we're hearing day by day of more and more yachts that are being seized. The result of this, talking to my colleagues in the Mediterranean, is that a lot of Russian yachts are now fleeing the Mediterranean, mostly going actually to Turkey. Now, Turkey is not a part of the EU, although it is the largest part of NATO after the United States. I read this morning that naval vessels in Turkey are blocking access to the Black Sea. However, just yet, as far as we're aware, no yachts are being seized in Turkish waters. That may change. All of this is very concerning for crew members. It presents them with a moral dilemma as to whether they want to work on the yacht anymore, and obviously really serious financial concerns, but also security concerns. You may have heard recently of one yacht that was Russian owned with a Ukrainian crew member who attempted to sink the yacht. To be fair, he did try to get the crew off first, and it sounds like they stopped him from actually completely sinking the yacht. But that's a big security concern for any crew on a Russian yacht. Now, in the description below, I'm going to put a link to an article in Superyacht News, which I found to be very interesting and very helpful. And particularly if you're a crew member, I'd encourage you to read it. They're encouraging to be more vigilant with security concerns on yachts, but also to become part of a member of the trade union for crew members. It's a union called Nautilus, and they can actually offer you free legal advice. And certainly, if you're a crew member, it's good to get objective legal advice as to what your options really are at the moment. So that's the first impact that this terrible situation is having on crew. And that's also the most immediate impact, because right now, crew members have to decide what they're going to do. What about the new build market? Well, a fair amount of yachts in construction right now are being constructed for Russian owners. And that presents quite a dilemma for the shipyard. Now, at this point, Max, I need you to put a disclaimer on the screen, because what I'm going to say is really just my opinion. As you know, these videos are powered by Northrop & Johnson. They give me a lot of freedom, but what I'm going to say really is just my opinion. It's not a statement on behalf of the company. I think there are two scenarios. The first scenario that we all hope for is that there'll be a quick resolution to this awful situation. So I don't think that yacht builders are going to have a knee-jerk reaction and immediately try to sell the yacht that's being built to somebody else just because there's a Russian owner involved. Stage payments on yachts are not made every week or not even every month. They're usually made every 3 or even 4 months. So until such time as a payment is not made, probably the yacht builder doesn't even have a legal right to sell that asset. If, on the other hand, the yacht's being built for one of the sanctioned Russians, then it's a frozen asset. And I'm no lawyer, so I don't know, but I would imagine that you can't continue the construction of a yacht that's a frozen asset. If you paint it, you've added value to that asset. When you fit the engines, you've added value to the asset. My common sense tells me that's something that yacht builders won't be able to do. Of course, we want a quick resolution, not for the sake of the yachting industry. We want a quick resolution for the sake of the people that are dying on both sides of the conflict. However, that is the scenario of this hopeful quick resolution. If it is a prolonged conflict and the invasion goes on for months and months and months, then there's going to be some very interesting legal discussions. And it won't just be maritime lawyers involved, it'll also be international lawyers who understand the implications. Because the contract of a yacht clearly states that if the buyer doesn't make the payment, the shipyard can sell the asset, and that's fair enough. But what happens if it is a frozen asset from a sanctioned Russian? Then clearly yacht builders are going to have to go through the correct international process to be able to free it up and then to sell it. So the reason I'm saying this is I don't think there are any opportunities right now immediately for people to step into the shoes of a Russian buyer and take over the build slot. I think it's going to be a more complicated and long drawn out process than that. As I said earlier, I just hope it doesn't come to that and things get resolved a lot more quickly. As a matter of fact, as I was preparing this, I did think it would be interesting to talk to a maritime lawyer to get their take on it. If you think that would be an interesting thing, do let me know, because I'll try to either live stream or at least record an interview with a maritime lawyer who no doubt will have very strong opinions on the subject and probably be far better informed than I am on the legal aspects. With regards to brokerage yachts, which as I'm sure you know are the pre-owned yachts and really the core of my business, it's a very challenging time for yacht brokers who are dealing with Russian clients. I'm imagining that in the near future we'll be hearing of stories where a yacht was almost sold and then the Russian client was sanctioned, and so the deal just couldn't possibly go through. But one other thing I'd like to say is that recently I went to the Miami Boat Show, and I think it's the first time ever I've gone to a boat show and been able to just walk around and enjoy it without actually working there. And I was approached by quite a few young brokers and young yacht salespeople who watch my YouTube channel. So this really is a message for them if they're dealing with Russian clients. Be very, very careful. Tread very carefully at this time. A large reputable brokerage such as Northrop & Johnson already has in place a system of due diligence and KYC. That's what's known as Know Your Client. International money laundering laws state that you cannot take the money of one individual to facilitate the purchase of an asset without even knowing who that individual is, or more importantly, where their money comes from. If that was important before, it's 1,000 times more important now. You really need to know who your clients are. If you think that you can get away with facilitating the sale of a yacht to somebody who's on that sanctions list, forget it. It won't just ruin your career, it may ruin your life. You can end up in jail for doing that sort of thing. So that is a real concern for yacht brokers. Brokers need to be very cautious at this time when dealing with Russians. Your client might be a really lovely guy. He might have made his money absolutely honestly. He may even be contrary to what's going on between Russia and the Ukraine right now. It makes no difference. You have to be very careful with who you deal with. The charter market too has been impacted because about 10% of the world's yachts, as I said earlier, are owned by Russians. And a lot of those yachts, which are charter yachts, are now just no longer available for charter. That means that the market and the available yachts is more limited. And that means that if you are thinking of chartering a yacht this year, you're better off doing it sooner rather than later, because there's not such a big selection. Having said all of that, the yachting industry is still very vibrant and very active. It's a tragedy what's going on, but in many respects, the business is still continuing. Tens of thousands of people are still enjoying their vacations on their yachts, and still people are buying yachts. We haven't seen in any way a reduction in the sale of yachts. This is a very fast-moving scenario right now. As a matter of fact, usually I film a video like this and then publish it about a week later. On this occasion, I've asked Max to do the minimum possible editing so that I can publish this tomorrow. Actually, I haven't asked Max yet. Max, can you possibly edit this as quickly as possible so that I can publish it tomorrow? Next week already things may be completely different, and whilst I don't want to do too many of these sorts of videos, if there are significant changes or if you have any particular questions, let me know and I'll keep you informed. I suspect that this video will attract a lot of political comments, and that's fair enough. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, and everybody, of course, is quite entitled to leave their comments on this channel. However, I personally won't be responding to political comments. I'm very keen to state that I will never use this platform as an opportunity for me to state my political opinion. That's not what it's for. It's absolutely for promoting the most fantastic industry in the world that brings joy and happiness to so many people. One final thing I do want to say, though, is that whilst we are carrying on with business as normal, at the same time, the humane element of yachting is very concerned and very alarmed by what's happening. Just this morning, I received an email from Libra. Libra is the Large Yacht Brokers Association, and they are coordinating donations to be made to the over 1 million refugees which have already left the Ukraine. And I know that already a lot of donations in the form of cash, but also in the form of blankets, tents, clothes and other useful things are already on their way to the border of Poland, where a lot of those refugees are moving to. In addition, a lot of appeals have been made for people who have room in their house. If you're in a country that can take in those refugees, already the yacht brokerage community has received appeals to open up our houses to these refugees. If we have a second house or an apartment, to open it up. So it's an industry that's still vibrant, still lively, but at the same time is concerned about what's happening and is taking action. Even when we can't make as much action as we'd like to, even if we can't do as much as we would like to do, that's no reason for not doing anything at all. And so we are active and we are taking steps.